everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are continuing on with some of our Valentine's Day themed cards and things. Today's video is very heavily inspired by Kelly Taylor. She used a die, I believe, maybe from Honeybee. Anyway, she had a die that created a donut and created a pizza. And I don't have that die set. So I went to my Cricut machine and I found a cut file. This one is called Donut from JOCELYN Draws, DRAWS. And I used her cut file and I adapted it and wrote some sentiments on the inside. So it has 3 pieces. Well, it comes with 2, but I created a third because I wanted to make this into a card, a shaped card. So this right here is the glaze, and then this is the actual like donut part, and then this is the piece that I made on my own because, like I said, I wanted this to be a card. So I just duplicated the layer that was going to be the donut. I just duplicated that, and then I added some text. I am a pun. I love puns. I'm a sucker for a pun. So I made some, I think funny puns. Don't forget how much we love you. You don't know how much I love you. We love you more than donuts. I just think those are funny. And like I said, super punny. So I just did a text. I found a writing font and did it that way. And then I made sure that I had enough space at the top here to write a sentiment, or no, not a sentiment. Hello. To do a score line, and you'll see that all come together in a little bit. So for now, we're going to set these aside. I'm going to do some ink blending. I'm going to color in with some Oxide inks today. I haven't used those in a minute, so I want to use them today. And then I'm going to use some Nuvo Drops, and I'm also going to use some more Cricut Pens. I am not sure the formula for the Cricut Pens that I used on here. I assume that they are water-based, but I'm not entirely sure. So I figured, because I want to color in these bubble letters here, so I figured that it would be safe to use Cricut Pens to do so. These are the 0.4 tip, and I have lavender, red, yellow, light green, and I think this is called crystal, or candy blue. Candy crystal. Yes, candy crystal. Those are the 5 colors I'm going to use today to color in each of these letters. So we're going to just kind of dive right in. So first things first, these are the cards for my kids, my big kids and my husband. So I'm just going to very quickly color these in. These are the tips that I have, and I figured I didn't want to use like a water-based pen and then have it like bleed. I didn't want to use an alcohol marker and have that bleed. So I figured these pens would all play well together. So I'm just going to color them in with these pens. And I'm just going to kind of go in a random order. I'm not really paying attention. And for each of these cards, I have the word donut in this bubble font. And I'm just going to go through and color them in. I'm not going to pay attention to like a pattern or anything. I'm just going to try to kind of color them in. So I figure if I use these Cricut pens, they won't bleed. And I think I'm right. So these are not like your traditional love-themed, heart-shaped and reds and pinks and kind of, I don't want to say like over the top Valentine's colors, but they are pretty cute. Valentine's-y, pun-y kind of things, which I like. I know that Amy R. From Prairie Paper and Ink, she does something very similar. Her Valentine's series is not super lovey-dovey. It's not, the hearts and the reds and the pinks and all that stuff. It's more like, in general, kind of love you, thinking of you kind of stuff. So that's kind of where I'm at, because I'll be honest with you, Valentine's Day is not like my favorite holiday. And so I don't really spend a whole lot of time working on it. So I'm going to do the same thing to all these other ones that have the donut bubble letters, but I will do that off screen because that would be mind numbing for you to watch. So let's work on the glaze. So I'm going to do a chocolate donut. I'm going to do a kind of like a strawberry one, and then one that has grape jelly. The reason why I'm doing that is my son's favorite color is red. My daughter's favorite color is purple. And then the one for my husband is just going to be chocolate because I couldn't think of a blue that made sense. So let me grab my blending brushes and we're going to go ahead and get into it. So I'm going to start with the purple first. And I just chose kind of a darker and a lighter purple. So I have Wilted Violet and Dusty Concord here. So I'm going to start with the Wilted Violet. And I don't know what colors were on here before, so I'm just going to kind of brush this off just a little bit. So yeah, we're good. All right, so this is Wilted Violet. And what I'm probably going to do is just give this a coating all over and then come back with the Dusty Concord and add some shading. And I'm going to do this with all of the colors, and I'll show you the color combinations, and then I will do those other ones off camera, off screen, just so that I don't bore you, because I'm not going to do anything fancy with them. What you see with this one is what I'm going to do with all of them. So almost done. Okay. So there's that. There's the lighter color. So here, you saw how fast I did that, and I didn't do anything fancy, y'all. Like, I'm not a fancy colorer. So this is the Dusty Concord. This is the color that I think is just a little bit darker. And I'm going to add that kind of in the middle. And then kind of just lightly around the edge. Just to give it a little bit more interest. A little bit more shading. I'm just using some scratch paper. I could absolutely do this on my glass work surface, but this is a lot faster to clean up, folks. And speed is of a necessity in my life right now. I don't know about y'all, but we have been, like, my entire family has been sick for like the past like 3 weeks with just one crud after another. It's been awful. So I'm looking forward to everybody feeling better and getting back into routines. School has started back, but I'm looking forward to like routines and that kind of thing coming back. So I'm just going to go back in with that Wilted Violet just in the middle, just to kind of help things blend a little better. But I am liking how this looks so far. I just want to help it blend just a little bit better. Okay. Just a little bit more through there. All right. So that is that. I'm going to let this dry because Oxide inks take a little bit longer to dry. And I'm going to go ahead and do the other colors. So the other glazes. So like I said, I wanted to have a chocolate donut. That one will be for my husband. And then the red is going to be kind of like a strawberry. And I'm using Candied Apple and Lumberjack Plaid for that one. And then the chocolate one, I'm going to use Gather Twigs and Ground Espresso. So I'm going to color those in off screen, and then I'll show you what they look like, and we'll go on to the next step. So here are all the glazes done. This is the Candied Apple and Lumberjack Plaid, the Wilted Violet and Dusty Concord, and then the chocolate is the Gather Twigs and Ground Espresso. So those are all done. So I'm going to let those dry. Just going to kind of scoot those off to the side. For the grape, I guess, and the raspberry or cherry or strawberry, I probably could have gone a shade darker for the darker color, but it's okay. So now this is the actual like donut part of our shaped card here. So for that, I'm going to use antique linen and brushed corduroy. I just think that those colors will work pretty well to give the impression of like a glazed donut. So I'm going to still use my brown blending brush here. The center is not really going to be seen, but I am going to add just a little bit of color to it just in case I don't line my glaze up just right. But I am going to go around the edge, and I am going to go in fairly far, just because this glaze is going to go right on the top, but you're still going to be able to see some of that donut through it. So I want to make sure that I go far enough in, but I also don't want to like waste time. So hope you all had I'm recording this video in January. So we have a storm that is supposed to blow in. It's blowing in right now. I live in Texas, and I live in East Texas, and there is a forecast for snow Sunday and into Monday. Now, I don't know if you're ever familiar with Texas, but if Texas gets snow, like the world shuts down, like the entire state shuts down. And so I'm kind of looking forward to it. Granted, my kids don't even have school that day. But I'm kind of looking forward to it because it is actually Martin Luther King Day that day. So they don't have school. But I'm kind of looking forward to everybody being home. So, and if we have some snow, that'd be kind of cool. I don't think we're going to get much of anything at all. I think if we get anything, it'll be like a dusting and like blow away. But that's what they're forecasting. We'll see if it actually goes down. So I'm going to see how I'm doing as far as like, okay, that's pretty good, really. Maybe a little bit more blending. Just kind of soften some of those harsher edges. But I think we're pretty good. That's already cute. I don't know about you, but I think that's already kind of cute. All right, so I'm going to repeat that for the other two like donut pieces, and I'll do that off screen so I don't bore you to tears, and then I will be back for the next part. Okay, so all of my actual like donut pieces are colored in. Again, I just went back and checked with the glaze just to make sure that everything was colored. There wasn't any like blank spots. And I was pleased how those turned out. So let's go on to what is going to actually make these a shaped card. So this is the piece that I actually duplicated. So this is just a copy of this piece. And the reason why I did that is because I wanted to make this a shaped card. So let me show you how we're going to do that. Let me throw things around first. So I'm going to turn this on its side, and I'm going to butt this up here. And I'm going to try to get this fairly straight-ish. And then I'm going to pick a line. So probably 4.5 will work. So I'm just going to score this piece at 4.5. And what that's going to do is that's going to give me this section right here for me to add glue to. And this will be what folds. So the front of the card is going to be solid. Like you're not going to notice any difference there. But this is what's going to actually like glue together and give you the shaped card. So let me demonstrate how that's going to happen. So we've got glue here, and I've got a smudge here. I'll show you how to take care of that too. So I'm going to take some liquid glue, and above this score line right here that we just made, I'm going to add some liquid glue. And hallelujah, it came out the first time. Like that never happens, people. Never happens. Okay, so I'm going to take this piece, which is identical to the bottom piece we just made, and I'm going to glue them together, okay? And try to get them lined up as best as possible. Okay. So we just had glue across this section right here, across this top of the score line here. So I'm going to let that adhere, And I'm going to go ahead and glue down, let's see, which one is this? Okay, so this one's the one for my husband. So I'm going to go ahead and add the glaze just while that glue dries. There's no like rhyme or reason. I don't think, because I altered the shape, or I altered the size of this glaze, because I wanted it to cover just a little bit more of that circle. So this inner circle is not quite the same size anymore. And the original cut file from Miss Draws, it was the same size, but mine is not. So, got the glaze on there. I'm going to open this up very carefully because I know that glue is not quite set. So all I'm going to do, I need to let this dry. I need to be patient, but I'm not a patient individual. Okay. So we've got that there. Now, I did not notice this when I was putting this together, but I have ink smudges all across there. Two ways you can fix that. One, you could cut another one of these shapes and glue it to the back of that and clean it up that way. Or when you're ink blending, instead of ink blending on paper, because that's where it picked it up, is because it was ink blending on paper, you can ink blend on a slick surface and clean it as you go, or you can ink blend on one of the grip mats that are out there now, and that would help, or a sticky mat, and that would help keep that clean. Jennifer McGuire, so there's a third way. Jennifer McGuire cuts a mask and puts that on top of it to keep it clean. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to even mess with that. I am going to clean up this smudge, but I don't know that I'm going to clean up that, just because I'm not going to write on that. But anyways, so moving on. So this is now our shaped card. And notice how the front is clean. There's no score marks because we put the score mark on this back piece. Okay, so let me show you that one more time. So here I've got this one, and I'm going to try to line it up straight. I'm going to try to find a score mark that, so this one's probably 4 5/8. And I'm just going to go across there. We're going to add glue up here. And I think first I'm going to go ahead and just use my fingertips to kind of score that a little bit, just to burnish it. And once again, we're going to add glue just above this score line. I'm going to take one of the pieces that's an identical copy, put that on top. And if you were a patient individual, you would let this sit here before you start messing with it. But if you're like me, you are not. I'm going to go ahead. Let's see, which one is this one? This one I think is going to be my daughter's. So I'm going to do the purple glaze on this one. Okay. I think the original cut file for this was like 3 inches. I made mine 5. So it was a 3 by 3 inch circle. So a 3 by 3 inch donut. And I made mine bigger. I wanted to make it 5 by 5. So there's that. So now I'm going to go ahead and open this up. And there we go. There we have our shaped card. Again, I gave you some ideas on how to fix that, but that's how you make the shaped card. I'm gonna make this last one off screen and then we'll move on to the fun next step. Okay, so here are all of our donuts put together. So the next step is I'm gonna add sprinkles. I did see a cut file on Cricut that had sprinkles and you layered the cardstock together. That would be a super cute idea, but I decided to cut all of these out of white and ink blend and use my inks because I have a tendency to invest more in inks than cardstock colors. So, and I really wanted to use the oxides. I liked that chalky finish that it gave these. So to do our sprinkles, I'm going to use some Nuvo Drops. And I have Nuvo Drops in a rainbow assortment of colors in red berry, carnation pink, ripened pumpkin. This is dandelion yellow, apple green, Caribbean ocean, and crushed grape. And all I'm going to do And I like to go ahead and test these out on just some scrap cardstock first to make sure that they're actually working. Because like this one, not working. No worky. You know, if I was not recording, I would not have that problem. So let's move on to a different color and see if any of the other ones are having that problem. Okay, the red's good. So I'm going to add red sprinkles to all of them at the same time. And all I'm doing is just a line. If you wanted to do like the confetti that they come in, that'd be super cute. I'm just going to do these red lines just to make it look like sprinkles. And I'm going to do this with all of these colors. I'm going to make them a very sprinkly donut. I think this red is going to really blend in on here, but I will do it anyway because it will add texture. So that'd be kind of cool. So almost done with the red. I'm going to see if I have to unclog any of these other colors before I unclog that one. All right, so I'm done with the red, I think. Let's see about this yellow. If it's clogged, it is not. I store these Nuvo Drops in a scrapbook.com container, and it stores them upside down, which is really handy because then the Nuvo Drops are ready to go. Before I was storing them kind of upside, right side up, I guess. And I would discover that they would clog really easy. And that was kind of annoying. So I really like those containers. They're not really cheap if I remember right, but they're not like crazy expensive either. And they've got other options for other mediums as well. So, okay. I'm just going to do the same thing with all of these colors. One thing to keep in mind, and I'm seeing it on this purple one in particular, Oxide inks are water reactive. And so it is actually starting, and you can probably see it. I'm going to bring this one a little closer to the camera. You can see that it's starting to kind of react with that purple underneath. That's okay. Sprinkles in real life do kind of bleed a little bit. So I'm not going to stress about that. So I'm just going to go through and do sprinkles with all of these, and I will be right back. So here are all of our sprinkles. I decided that this was enough sprinkles, so I didn't even fool with that carnation pink that was clogged. I didn't even mess with that. So these are all of our sprinkles. I think they turned out pretty cute. But because I made this 5 inches, I need kind of a bigger envelope. So what I'm going to do is show you how to make a custom envelope if you already have like an envelope. So this is obviously going to fit in here, but there's a lot of space over here, which is fine. But I want to make it just a little bit more snug. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my paper trimmer, and I'm going to show you how to make a custom sized envelope. So first things first, these are Paper Studio envelopes. And I'm going to try to cut off kind of these little flaps right here and see where that gets me. So I'm just going to slice there, flip her around. And just before I cut it, so I don't waste an envelope, I'm gonna make sure that that's still gonna fit. Okay, yeah, we'll be good. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and slice off that little flap there too. So that leaves you with something that looks like this, okay? That's not a big deal. So watch what we do. I'm just gonna take my liquid adhesive. You could use a dry adhesive if you wanted. And on, not the flap that has that you would use to seal it, but the other one, this kind of second biggest flap, I'm just going to run a line of glue there and here on the two shorter ends. Okay, not here, otherwise you'll seal your envelope closed. And I'm just going to flip that back up. I'm going to grab a paper towel just in case I have any glue that decides to ooze out. And I'm just gonna run my fingertip across there, and we are gonna seal that shut. And now you have made a custom size envelope for using an envelope you already had that was pre-made. So that's one little trick you can do if you have a custom sized card or project that you want to place in an envelope or some sort of protective covering, but you don't have one that necessarily fits well. This is something you can do. You can still round these corners if you want to, but I'm just going to leave them as is. And then folks, you have a custom card and matching envelope. So that is super cute. Again, I used a cut file off of Cricut, and I will link who I used down below. Let me know if you are enjoying the kind of live versions, or if you like when they are kind of pre-recorded and voiced over. Let me know how you think about that, or what you think about that. And until then, we will see you next time. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Hope you have a great day. Bye.